I am just getting set up because otherwise I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping I have my insects correctly identified for this evening, because otherwise I'm just plain gonna feel really stupid. Good morning, good morning, good evening, whoever just came in. I don't even know exactly what time is it. Is it? Okay, it is 7:01, so I can go ahead and get started. Tonight, we are doing a new series in my lives. This is called Exploring Nature, where I bring you a little bit of the world around me or around you, and I share it with you. Or at least that's the idea. That hopefully is the idea behind this series, is me sharing with you a little bit of my knowledge and educate you a little bit about the world around you. So tonight we are talking about four different insects that are found in various habitats, not only in my area, but perhaps even in your area as well. We are talking about mayflies, fireflies, mantis flies, and scorpion flies. All of which there's a theme to those insects, and that is that they are all called flies, but they are not flies. They are, in fact, not really related. That's okay, Carol. Hopefully those issues calm down. As long as you're not in and out, that's okay. Nobody else is on yet, so I don't have. They do fly, and that is about the extent of it. So the first one we're going to talk about are the mayflies, and they can look different than the one I'm going to show you. These are all, for those of you who are not Carol, these are all either my hand drawings or they are my pictures that I personally taken. So that is a mayfly. These guys typically come out after spending several years in the water. You can see they have a body. I can't really see my finger. This is the body. And then they have these filaments on the end of the body. That is very characteristic of a mayfly. And they can have more than just one. They can have several. Despite their name, though, mayflies are not flies. They live for the warmer months and not just in June or in May. They are aquatic and can be found. Hi, predecessor. This is the first animal that we're talking about. It is the mayfly. So named because a lot of times they come out in May. Darn it, it is so dark. These are little filaments that come off the back end of the body. These guys can be found in bodies of water that are fairly free of pollutants. They live in bodies of water from streams all the way up to lakes. There are 60 species of mayflies. Oh, sorry, not 60. There are at least 600 species of mayfly right here in the United States. The larvae feed on detritus, which is broken down bits and pieces of organic matter, and plants as well. Now, they will also feed on other insects. The adults do not feed. That is pretty much universal with this animal. Their entire focus as adults, like so many other animals, is on reproduction. Most of their lives are going to be spent underneath the water, only to emerge as adults. And once they do emerge, they emerge for only a short period of time, only about a day or so. And they have been on the earth, we believe, for around more than 300 million years. And like I said before, these guys need clean water. The larvae are called nymphs. And while most of these mayflies live in fresh water, there are some that live in brackish water. Now, anytime that you hear me mention brackish water, that is an estuary, meaning it is at the mouth of a river as it empties into the ocean. So it's a mix of fresh water and salt water. Many animals feed on the larvae. Oh, excuse me, I burped. Many animals feed on the larvae as well as the adults. 1 square foot of water at the bottom can contain 1,400 nymphs. Think about that. 1 square foot of water. The bottom of the water can contain 1,400 nymphs. Their life cycle goes a little bit like this. Females lay the eggs, female dies. They will lay anywhere from 50 to 10,000 eggs. These eggs will then hatch in 2 weeks. And the nymph stage takes place entirely in the water. And they may stay a nymph for 2 weeks or as long as 2 years. Hey, Eric, it's okay. We are talking about mayflies to start with. The nymphs will take anywhere from 30 seconds or so to molt, and then they move on. If it's a male, they move on to find a female. Mayflies emerge like crazy in some places. They can be everywhere. It's a little bit, if you've seen images from New Mexico about the Mormon crickets where they're just everywhere. Yes, that is pretty much how these guys are. They literally are everywhere. Mayflies are food for many animals, both in their nymph stage and the adult stage. The next animal that I'm going to talk about is, if you live in the Midwest and other places as well, you know all about fireflies. Hopefully you can see that. I know I talked about fireflies in another video, but I thought we might as well talk a little bit more about them. Now, supposedly, they can be found in every state in the US. I don't know how true that is, but we are actually going to be talking about Mormon crickets also on the channel. Not sure exactly when. No, you don't. Well, predecessor, there is a story about why they call them Mormon crickets. But we'll talk about that, I promise, later in another live, I believe. Lost my place. Fireflies may be found in greater concentrations in the eastern United States and in the central states. But there are species of these guys found all over the world. The adults are active mainly in late spring and summer. Firefly populations sadly have decreased in part to habitat destruction. Believe it or not, our practice of keeping our lawns nice and neat, our practice of picking up leaf litter off the ground, has affected them as well. Lightning bugs and fireflies are the same exact animals, just a different name. As I mentioned in the earlier video, they are, again, neither a fly or a bug. They are, in fact, a beetle. Larvae feed on snails, worms, and slugs, which they actually disable using a chemical in their bite. Like the firefly, much of their life is spent, or much like the mayfly, much of their life is spent in their larval form. As an adult, they live for about a month, and each species of firefly has their own pattern of flash, or flashes. Male synchronous fireflies flash in unison. And this way, the females will know for certain that she is responding to her own kind and not to a predatory firefly. There are fireflies who actually mimic the flashes of other species. It's also important to note that not all lightning bugs or fireflies flash as adults. Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. Some flash their lights to mimic the flash of other species so they can grab a meal. Species may be on the decline in some areas, and by the way, that bioluminescence that you see doesn't waste, there's hardly any waste of energy in creating that flash. So it's very, very clean energy as far as they are concerned. Next up, we have an animal that you may not have even heard of before. That is my drawing. It looks like some type of weird Godzilla monster. It is not. I did my best to draw it. This is a mantis fly. And they call it a mantis fly because of these parts. Not Mothra. These wings are clean. They're see-through. And they are a bit longer on the mantis fly. The legs don't look like this, by the way. But a little bit about mantis flies. Again, these are not flies. They belong to a group of insects called Neuroptera. Mantis flies are not flies, and though they may have some characteristics of mantises, they are not mantises. Now, some of these guys even resemble wasp. And the abdomen will actually look like a wasp abdomen. They're in the same order as lacewings and antlines, which you may or may not know about. There is a good indication that the larva of mantis flies, actually, it's not just an indication, it is true, that the larvae of some mantis flies are actually parasites to spiders. And so how that works is the larva of the mantis fly will climb up onto a female spider. And for a short while, it'll feed on the blood of that female spider. And then when that female spider goes to lay her egg sac, the insect will climb down off the back and then feed on the eggs in the egg sac. By the way, spider blood is not called blood. We don't, those of us that know, don't call it blood. It is called hemolymph. So, sort of like our lymph fluids, these guys feed on that. Adult mantis flies are predatory and they feed on small insects. I have only seen one mantis fly in my entire life. Fun fact, my little brother brought it over. He's not little anymore, by the way. When it comes to height, I got the short end of the stick, literally. He found it at his house and brought it to me with the understanding that I would not kill it. And so I didn't. Yes, they are. There are some people that are smaller than me. There was a guy at the church's genealogy library in Salt Lake who was smaller than me. There was a secretary at the college I went to who used a pencil to work the control panel in the elevator. I am or was exactly 5'1.5" tall. So, yay me. Next up, we have the scorpion fly. And I've also only ever seen one of these. But they are pretty cool. They look like they have a scorpion tail. And they have a really long, almost like proboscis-like mouth part. These guys belong to a group known as, and I'm going to mess this name up, Mecoptera, maybe. It includes about 550 species worldwide. Here in North America, we have 60 species, and they date back to the Permian period, which was more than 250 million years ago. It's thought that these guys might be relatives of the butterfly and the moth. Or, I'm sorry, the fly. They are known to scavenge on dead insects, and they might also feed on the nectar or juices from rotting fruits. And what is really, really crazy about these insects is that they will also steal from the from spider webs in order to feed. Now, the males are the only ones that have the scorpion tail. Hi. Hi, cool. And they have that scorpion tail. Now, the scorpion tail is it's not a stinger. These guys cannot hurt you. In fact, it is used for courtship displays. The so-called stinger is used to pin down the female. And it actually is a clasper. It has two little things on it. Males and females mate at night. However, mating can also be a dangerous affair. I'm thinking it had to do with sorry, with radiation and whatnot. Mating can be a very dangerous affair. The males are also known to give his intended a bit of food. Eggs are then laid in the soil, and the larvae live and pupate in the ground. And again, by the way, it should be noted that scorpion flies cannot sting you. That is possible too. But a lot of times, again, Hollywood reacts to the fears of the public. And at the time, think of what was going on during that time period. A lot of fear of a bomb being dropped. We were in the beginnings of, I guess, the Cold War at that point. So yeah, Hollywood was feeding off of that. That is all I have for tonight. Believe it or not. I do want to stress that we do have some very cool things coming up. You don't want to miss it. Me and Carol were talking last night. I think we took my plans up another story. You guys want me to read you a story? Hold on. In order to do that, I have to step away, so talk amongst yourselves. As I trip over myself. I do have a trivia book. I just don't have it in front of me. The reason I did not finish that last story is to make sure that YouTube would not come out at me for talking about one of the concepts behind the story. And cool, I write, if you're still here, I write stories. I am an author of sorts. Am I going to finish that story? I did finish it as much as I could finish it. The one about the ghost? I could only go so far with it because of YouTube. If it's not that one, you're going to have to remind me which one it was, because so this one, this is called Nope, Not Going. And I don't think I read this one to you. Did I? Yeah, I couldn't finish that one because it ends with the vampire unaliving itself. And I can't really discuss that because of it. So I had to stop the story and sort of mix it. Okay, so this is a guy by the name of Elliot Parsons. I just got my new house on the edge of a national forest. I love the house and the wildlife, but at night, the yard feels a tad bit eerie. And I don't know, it feels spooky. It just does. Or I don't know why it feels spooky. It just does. I'm not one to believe in ghosts or things that go bump in the night, but I can see why one might change their minds after living here. There is always something passing through my yard at night. Sometimes it does so quietly, and other times it wakes me up. But I always go back to sleep. There is something a tad bit off. If I'm awake after midnight, I hear what sounds like singing or humming. And it's always coming from the forest. As a new homeowner, I'm in town quite a bit, but I plan my trips into town carefully so that it's never a wasted trip. One of those trips was quite memorable, and I'll remember it for a very long time. It was a Saturday, and I had left the house around 7 a.m. so I could grab breakfast at one of the local eateries in town. While I was eating, an older couple asked if they could join me. I agreed because I knew how busy this place could be. We made small talk, and eventually the conversation switched to where I lived and how long I plan on staying. I told them the address, and they both seemed surprised. Um, the the story that we discussed on Wednesday, Eric, um, he will turn out to be sort of a superhero. We heard someone had bought the house, but we didn't believe it. I mean, with the children and all. Now they have my attention. I could tell from the way the husband spoke and the wife's hesitancy to speak that things were taking a seriously bad turn. Perhaps I shouldn't have opened my mouth, but I was hooked. Children? The wife, who had been quiet, or fairly quiet, looked at me in disbelief. No one told you not to buy that house? I shook my head. First, they mentioned children, and then I'm basically told that I shouldn't have bought the house. Why shouldn't I have bought the house? The old man looked around, and then he started to talk. Your house sits close to the Your house sits close to the forest where local legend says that children were brought here and left because the parents could no longer care for the children. The children, alone and afraid, ended up unaliving in the forest from starvation. Their bodies were ravaged by scavengers and their bones scattered. They never stood a chance. I'm afraid. How is this your problem? How is this your problem? You live near the forest. I'm sure you've heard them singing. He knew, but I'm not sure how he knew. Now that you mention it, I have heard what sounded like singing. I just assumed it was animals. In fact, I'm sure it's just foxes or the wind. The old man seemed upset with my thoughts. Young man, there are people in this town who have lost loved ones to those demons. You'll see one of these days. They'll learn your name and call for you. I am not going to lie, the old man was creeping me out. He seemed so serious as he spoke of them. We finished our meals and paid for the meals. Oh, wait. Let me reread that. We finished our meals and I paid for my meal and their meals as well before running a few errands. So, Eric, this is based on a combination of different Native American stories. It's not exact, but it's a combination of their stories. So I'm not borrowing from just one. I'm probably borrowing from 2 or 3 different stories. Later that day, I sat at my computer searching for anything that I could find on disappearances from this national forest. And I found at least 100 people who had vanished in the forest, with 25 of them being recovered alive. Still, those people could have died in numerous ways. I then checked the obituaries and cross-referenced to see if any of the people had been found and buried. I found 15 people who had been found and their remains identified. The rest pose a very real question. Are the children claiming lives? Would they call for me? Could I capture those voices on a recorder? I might have to try and see if I can. Perhaps they will get close enough to the yard that I can film them or capture them in photo. I don't believe in them, but something is up. I believe there is a little bit of truth. To every story. Tonight, I'll prove that there is nothing out in the woods that isn't alive. As I planned, I set my alarm for midnight and went to sleep at 6 p.m. so I could get a little sleep before heading outside. Oh no. Uh-oh. Okay. My alarm went off at midnight and I got dressed. I grabbed my phone, my camera, and my recorder and then made my way outside to the backyard. I turned on the flashlight on my phone and dragged a chair from the fire pit to the edge of my property. I sat down in my chair and proclaimed that I was here. Hi, anyone in the forest, I said, and waited for sounds to come out of the forest. For 10 minutes, there were no sounds, and I was confident that nothing would happen. Then I snapped a photo and looked at it, and there was nothing. Well, that settles it. Time to go inside. It's clear no one is out there. I stood up and headed for the house, but as I got within 10 feet of the house, I heard something, and it stopped me in my tracks. It wasn't crying that I heard. Instead, it was laughter. The type of laughter that one might expect from a mischievous child. I was hearing the laughs of at least 4 or 5 kids. Not only was I hearing it, but I was recording it. Those laughs had me downright terrified. Right there and then, I started recording video on my phone to see if I could pick up anything on it. Deep inside, I knew there would end up being nothing on my recorder. And I don't know why. But I have a problem. Oh wait, there it is. Okay. Sorry. I lost my place. I knew the laughter was captured, so I went to go into the house. I didn't even move my feet 2 steps before the most eerie sounds erupted from the forest. This time they were singing an almost innocent tune tinged with sadness. The more I listened, the more I wanted to make them happy by walking into the forest. Even with all their hypnotic singing, I somehow found a way to overcome their power over me. Without their power over me, with their power broken over me, I continued my way into the house. The next day, I reviewed my photos and the voice recorded captures and the video, and what I found surprised me and reinforced the feelings from the night before. In all its eerie and scary glory, I started that evening not believing in ghosts, and in 1 hour, all that changed. I heard the voices of the dead, and there was no doubt that's what I heard. I felt my will being drained away by the spirits that lingered in the forest, and after feeling their grip on my mind, I understand how someone could get snared by their voices. For a very short time that I was caught up by their power, being lost or scared could open up oneself for control by the children. Once that happened, all was lost. Now, I don't tempt fate when it comes to these ghosts. Hope you take heed and stay away from the forest in the early morning hours, because you could get ensnared. And that was Nope, Not Going. And again, that is one that might make it into the book. Did you guys like that one? It's a little rough, so I do apologize for any goof ups that might have been made. Sometimes it just happens. And you can look up if you really wanted to. There really are stories talking about just that thing. Did I read? I don't want to read Brooks. I want to say that. Okay. This one is called No One Like Me. This one, if you know Greek mythology, it comes from that. And again, it's called No One Like Me. My parents don't talk much about my arrival at their door. I arrived on their porch as a chilly north wind began to blow. It was a fierce gale coming straight down out of Canada. A dark, wintry cloud started to fill the sky. As the wind grew stronger, large snowflakes danced their way to the ground at first. Then, out of nowhere, the flakes grew even larger, and the wind seemed to be whipping them into a frenzy. As the wind started to howl, at that exact moment, this is when my cries could be heard above the storm. Already, there were snowflakes starting to settle on the ground, and when the door was opened, I was found. I have heard that when I was found, that the minute I was in my dad's arms, that the winds stopped. My mom was shocked that there were no signs of frostbite or hypothermia. She also said that my eyes were the most brilliant shade of blue that she had ever seen on a person. They would end up taking me in as their adopted son, and I would grow up surrounded in their love, but they always kept me close. Sure, I had friends, and they would hang out at my house quite often. I was a normal kid in every way but one, and my parents were hiding something from me. It wasn't until my 14th birthday that I found out a bit of the truth. Hi, the prince. Sorry this is not the live you were expecting, but I actually finished the topic some time ago, so we're enjoying some more of my stories. There had been someone with me the night of the storm, and I only know about this person because I heard my dad talking to a neighbor about that storm. Apparently, they saw a man who appeared to have stepped out of the storm. Whoever it was, this man was tall and older, and if you can believe it, he was carrying a bundle. That bundle was me. The mystery guy left me on my parents' doorstep. Was I his unwanted grandson? Or a grandson who just needed a good, loving home? Guess I'll never know why I was left here. It doesn't matter because I'm safe and loved. And sometimes, even amongst the love, though, I feel alone. So there are some connections with Hercules. But anyway, moving on. My mom says that the only time that I was calm as a baby was during a storm. Thunderstorms were soothing to me as a child. And the larger and louder the storm, the better. Lightning and thunder didn't bother me. Even my dad was shocked with my love for storms. I heard my dad say to my mom that they had a strange child on their hands. Little do they know just how strange I really am. Years later, my true nature started to show through. My birthright started with me being a little bit more aggressive than the other kids, which was great for my workouts and when playing soccer. It is not Zeus. It wasn't so great when I got upset because then I just wanted to fight someone. Living here in the Midwest, it gets cold and windy in the winter, but it has no effect on me whatsoever. The cold feels like 70 degrees to me. One night in my room, I blew out one of the candles in my room only to find a thin layer of ice on it. With my arms outstretched, I could project a gust of chilly air at an object strong enough to blow objects off my I will let the others chime in on that. I could blow objects off my desk. My strength increased as well. Still, I don't know where all of this weirdness came from to begin with, and maybe I never will. I am now in my 20s, and I still do not know where those strange powers came from, but I do know I feel pretty darn lonely. Who else in the world is gifted like me? There can't be many like me. On the other hand, it does make me unique. I am set apart from everyone around me. Of course, no one knows about me, and that's just fine with me. I don't need people knowing that I'm a freak. I'm pretty much the same person, just with some weird powers. Who knows what the future has for me? No one can tell me who left me on the doorsteps of my family, and maybe someday I'll find out the truth. I'm okay with not knowing who he was And that goes without saying that I want to know who my father is, or who my mother is for that matter. Maybe at some point I'll find out what the truth is beyond the stars. It is the north wind. Gotta make sure I'm getting this story. In the right place. Otherwise, I'm really gonna mess myself up later on. So this next, what did you guys think of that one? That is somebody that could become a hero, but I don't know. So this next one is called Dying Without Living. I think so. This is called Dying Without Living. In my line of work, I often do not see the end result of my work. I had developed a body for a cybernetic unit. The body housed the mechanical devices that made up the cyborg's frame. My body gave it shape. I watched as my handiwork was tested time and time again. And as the tests were done, we worked to get the kinks out of the system. Eventually, we would get the rough spots polished and our unit came to life. I named him Cam. Cam's techno mind was blank, but over time, he started to build up knowledge, and it seemed to be absorbing knowledge at a fast pace. His frame was holding up wonderfully. He was still being tested to see how this frame and his mind would handle daily wear and tear. The hope was our business would over time be used to assist the elderly so they could live in their homes. Prince, I think we already answered that question, dude. The androids would be trained for medical care, household chores, conversation. They would even be, it's okay, you're cool. Even being able to drive and fix cars or whatever else is needed. Cam's ultimate test is to see if he can be what a lonely senior needs. Cam was doing amazing. He was reaching milestone after milestone. One night, while charging, a strong thunderstorm came through, and lightning seemed to flash every 10 seconds. There was also some cloud-to-ground lightning as well, and one of those bolts hit the pole outside my home. While most of the electronics were fine, Cam suffered some kind of damage to his core. His memory seemed unaffected, but the part of him that maintained motor functions was damaged. His onboard self-diagnostic program knew there was a problem, but couldn't identify the problem or correct the problem. That's cool. All I can do is wait to see if powering down for the night solves the issue. His programming is designed to allow for auto repair, but he needs to be in standby mode or turned off and on to start the process. The night has passed and Cam's system has reset. The only problem is His internal system didn't reset, which means he didn't auto-fix himself. Cam sunk further into disrepair. The problem has worsened. His voice programming is malfunctioning. His mind seemed to be slipping. He's supposed to be serving breakfast, but instead, he's trying to make the bed with me in it. It's not ideal, by the way. This proves his schedule protocols are also damaged. Later in the day, his voice cracked and continued to crack all evening. Still hopeful for a reset, I went to bed. When I woke up, what I woke up to was sad. Cam was unable to stand up from the charging chair. Yet, worse yet, his voice was gone. Support wanted a report on him, so I spoke with this representative about his condition. They suggested doing a factory reset, which I don't want to do. I figured he was locked away in the system somewhere, but I'm willing to try anything at this point. On the back of his neck, there is a button that you can use, but I like the app. With the touch of my finger, Cam's eyes closed, and when they finally opened, what I saw was not good. His eyes were red, a sure sign that the computer part of him was dying. Before the day was through, Cam's system completely, utterly vanished, leaving my home a bit more quiet. What do you guys think of that one? Yeah. Thank you, predecessor. Okay, so this next one is the knocking mirror. Um and this is another ghost story. My best friend gave me a bureau as a gift when I bought my house. The bureau was an antique, but you could tell it was well loved. It was made from black cherry, and it was beautiful. The mirror showed its age around its outside edges. There were 4 large drawers and 2 smaller drawers. When we got into my bedroom, my friend looked at me with a bit of concern over his face. You really want this in your bedroom? Where else would you put a piece of furniture like this one? Yeah, where else would I put it? He shrugs his shoulders and then looks at the bureau. Looking at the mirror, he begins to speak, but stops. Looking at me, he points to the mirror. I can see something in his eye. The lady at the antique store said that this mirror might be haunted. I don't believe in ghosts or in other supernatural things. When, guys, I know you guys want to hear stories, and I'm all up for that. And I love ghost stories. And you probably have heard way worse. But yeah, I gotta go get the book. I just hate to do the I hate to do that because we're gonna be doing that anyway. Yikes. No, I did not. I'm assuming your team won. Awesome. I am trying to figure out what type of trivia to do. Okay. Okay. So, wow, we have one person. The trivia for tonight is Independence Day. Actual like Independence Day, not the movie. Is that cool with everybody? So I hope you know your history. What? It's not the movie. It's on actual Independence Day. Okay. So, first question. Independence Day celebrates America's independence from whom? Who did we get independence from? I had to pick something that I Yes. It says Britain, but same difference. In which year did America's Declaration of Independence take place? When did Whoa, I gotta be really careful. Yes, 1776. What was rung to accompany the first reading of the Declaration of Independence? What was rung to accompany the first reading of the Declaration of Independence? Yes, it was the Liberty Bell. Who won the Pulitzer Prize for Independence Day in 1996? And this time we are talking about the movie. Who won the Pulitzer Prize for Independence Day in 1996? So maybe some of this does have to do with the it was Richard Ford. Which tennis star was born on the 4th of July? I think the book did. Who won? Which tennis star was born on the 4th of July? Anybody else? It was Pam Shriver. Which U.S. city was named after its first president? Which U.S. city was named after its first president? Anybody else going to chime in? Eric? It is Washington. How many colonies won their independence in the American Revolution? It was Washington. How many colonies won their independence? It's Washington, D.C. Yes. Which founder of Homes for Destitute Children was born on the 4th of July, 1845? I don't understand that question. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. Maybe I should stick to like the actual historical questions. Which founder of Homes for Destitute Children was born on the 4th of July, 1845? It was Dr. Barnardo. Numero 9. Who was the first Irish president to be, who was the first Irish American to be U.S. president? Who was the first Irish American to be president? Eric, any thoughts? I don't know if you're thinking. Now. It is the first Irish American to be a U.S. president was. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, can't do that because that is copyrighted. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson. Which peace recognized U.S. independence in 1783? Yes, Jackson. Which peace recognized U.S. independence in 1783? Which peace recognized U.S. independence in 1783? You have to know a little bit of world history. It's not that type of peace. It's PEACE. It is Peace of Paris. In which century did Pennsylvania join the Union? In which century did Pennsylvania join the Union? That's what I'm thinking. I know that according to the book, 18th century. Who was the first grandson of a president to become president? Who was the first grandson of a president to become president themselves? It's always like the 20th century or the 1900s. So 18th century would be the 1700s. Anybody else? Carol, predecessor, any thoughts? I have Monroe. Anybody else? Anybody else? Carol, any thoughts? It is Harrison. It is not Monroe. Which U.S. president was born on Independence Day in 1872? Which U.S. president was born on Independence Day 1872? Which president was born in 1872? Ford, think a little bit before Ford. Predecessor, any clue? Or I don't want to give out the answer until I know that everybody has had a chance to answer. And where is everybody tonight? Did I offend Josh? It was Calvin Coolidge. Now this next one I think is pretty easy, maybe. Work began on which canal on the 4th of July, 1904? No, because Josh was here the other night. Josh was here last night. So, I don't know. It was not the Erie Canal. I think the Erie Canal was before 1904. Not sure on the exact date, though. Predecessor? Work began on which canal on the 4th of July, 1904? Work began on which canal in 1904? There are 50 questions. We don't have to answer all 50. It was the Panama Canal. Which surname was shared by 2 of the first 6 U.S. presidents? Which surname was shared by 2 of the first 6 U.S. presidents? Guys, it's asking for the last name, the surnames. It is Adams. Which 19th century Great Famine meant many immigrants flocked to the U.S.? That makes no sense. Which 19th century Great Famine meant many immigrants flocked to the U.S.? But you know what's funny? Well, I'll wait till everybody answers. It is all it says is Irish. It doesn't even say anything about potato famine. In 1898, the U.S. waged war against which European country? In 1898, the U.S. waged war against which European nation? Yeah, it was Irish. So the new question, which 19th century, in 1898, the U.S. waged war against which European country? Time starts now. We have Cuba. Anybody else? England or France? It is Spain, according to the book. Was cotton grown in the northern or southern states? It was Spain, though. That was the answer to the last question. Was cotton grown in the northern or southern states? I mean, Eric, you could be right. It is the... I'm waiting. Yes, it was the southern United States. Which early U.S. president shared a surname with a 20th century blonde movie star? Which early U.S. president shared a surname with a 20th century blonde movie star? Yes, it was Monroe. In what year did Columbus discover America? In what year did Columbus discover America? True, he did not. And it was actually probably the Spanish that actually, well, even that's up for grabs because supposedly the Vikings were here prior to Spain. $14. 1492. Which state was founded by Lord Baltimore in 1632? Which state was founded by Lord Baltimore in 1632? It is Maryland. How much did Dutch settlers buy Manhattan from Native Americans? How much did the Dutch settlers buy Manhattan from Native American Indians? How much money did they spend to buy Maryland or to buy Manhattan? In modern day money. More than that, Eric. When you guys are tired, it's okay to say enough. Oh, no. I meant, like, it is in dollar amounts. Not quite that much. Oh, no, Carol, no. Actually, it was $24. for the entire Manhattan Island. $24. I could have bought 2 of those. That to me, that's just crazy. What was the first European name for the book says $24. Now, I don't know what that would come out to in modern day money, but that's how much they spent. That's the equivalent of how much they spent. What was the first European name for New York? What was the European name for New York? The first European name for New York. I need like a music to play while we wait for the answers. Hello, whoever the 4th person is that joined us. We're doing a little bit of trivia because I finished early. That was weird. Predecessor. Oh. Okay, guys, I need not to short anybody out of fun. It was New Amsterdam. I don't want to cut anybody out of their fun and games today. I really don't, but I do want to take a minute. It was New Amsterdam. My chair is creaking. I'm sorry. Give me a second, guys. I gotta get into my computer for a second. I will be right back. Ow! Okay, so I had to do some rejuggling a little bit. But just so you guys are aware of what's coming up, May 31st, that is today, we did Mayflies and more. Tomorrow, we are doing Learn to Care, Great Hammerhead. Tuesday, we are doing unconventional foods that go beyond beef. I am telling you now, I was doing a little bit of review, a little bit of talking with Carol about what would be discussed with that, and she practically got sick with it. That's fine. No, we're talking, that's gonna be Tuesday, June 4th. Sunday is on the computer already. Let me see if I can access it. I am going live for those of you that are on the other channel. I don't know if my Chromebook will load up. No, it is. Oh, wait. Maybe it will. June 6th on the other channel, we are doing Trivia Night. June 7th, we are doing Exploring Zoo. We're going to be talking about the accreditation program used by the AZA. And then lots of really cool things coming up in June. Oh, I hate when I do that. I will. Give me a second, guys, because I have to get into Facebook. I don't want that. I want Facebook. I literally just want Facebook. Or YouTube, rather. Just give me a second. Okay, so Sunday's live on the other channel will be at 6 p.m. Sunday at 6 p.m. And it is tube animals in my collection. So that's what we're doing for that. Lots of really cool things coming up, though, that are going to be fun. If you have submitted an idea for a live, it's going to be taking place, but probably not. I mean, it's intermixed. So, like, Eric submitted doing Black Widows and Recluses. That will be July 5th, so the day after the 4th of July. And we have 2 trivia nights in the next 2 months. One will be June 6th on the first channel, or on the second channel, and then also, really important, on the 4th of July, that is a scheduled live day for the second channel. I will be going live at 2 p.m. and we are doing trivia. June 31st, we are doing Mormon crickets. And normally I would do this in a video, but I really like doing these exploring nature where it's me in front of you talking about the animals and letting you fire off your thoughts and your questions. So, that is some ideas that are coming up. Do I need to do the entire month of June with you guys, or are you good? Just with knowing what's coming up in the next little bit. Hello, anybody else that has come in? I don't always see your name. I apologize for that. I can now start doing posting, like clicking your comments and sharing that up above. Let me show you what that looks like so you can see it. I am not poking fun at anybody, but since Carol asked a question, I am going to use Carol's comment. So I would click on Carol's comment and I would pin the message. And you'll notice that Carol's message is on the bottom. So I'm going to do that for questions when they come in so that everybody can see it. And then go from there. And hopefully I didn't. Okay. Sorry, guys. That is just something that they have started allowing us to do. Does anybody in here like the color? I have to find out if I can do it. First off, before I go running my mouth. Okay, I'm thinking of. I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking about doing. Instead, I will announce it later. Um, but I'm asking for a reason. So, I will let you know in the upcoming weeks what I'm planning. Also, I want you guys to think about Christmas time and in relation to the channel, because I need to start planning. Um, how old are you? I see that. I see your name. How old are you? I asked for your age. I don't have grandkids. Um, I gave her a chance, guys. I I don't like being ignored. I need to know your age. Danica Beats, I need to know your age. I'm going to give you another chance to give it to me, and then you'll be put on a 10-minute timeout. You interrupted my live. I think maybe they left. So what just happened? I don't like doing, for those of you who are regulars and those of you who might be in here otherwise, let me get up so I can be seen and not just heard. I don't like doing age restrictions because we have some really cool people who are younger, who manage to behave themselves. If I put an age restriction in place, they will not be able to join live. And my lives typically aren't bad, and that I don't usually discuss topics that kids can't be a part of. However, as I told this person, I am not a grandpa. I don't want to be anybody's grandpa. I know how old I am. I know I look like a grandpa. But when I ask you a question, or when I ask somebody a question and I don't get a response, no, I can't. However, that being said, I can put somebody in timeout. And so what you saw happen was a 10-second timeout. And she may have also got reported. I don't know. But kids are out of school now. So this may happen more often than not. When it happens, I will try to give a warning, but maybe not always. As you saw, I gave her plenty of opportunity to answer. And that person chose not to answer. So she was put on a timeout for 10 seconds. And when that happened, her messages got deleted. I know, Eric, and I get it. But unless you are family, I am not your uncle. Unless, like I said, your family and then that's fine. But young Eli 6, who are you? See, I can't see. I wish I could bring up profiles. Like on TikTok, if I was going live. Yeah, not your uncle. I'm sorry, but not your uncle. Unless that's a sign of respect, and then I would accept that, but okay, I can get that. I will not. I have a channel that is open to just about anybody that wants to come in. But at the same time, I'm not going to mess around either. So for those of you that are regulars, that's what I'm looking at. My day was good. I don't want to be a dictator in my lives, but you guys have a right and a privilege. You guys have a right to come in and enjoy yourselves and participate in live. And I have the ultimately it's up to me who comes in, and basically it's a matter of come into my live and play around and goof off and be rude. It boils down to play and find out. Yes, I do. And I know where Guyana is. Hey, Fortnite. So yes, I wish I could. Fortnite, can you do me a... Yeah, I know. Fortnite, can you remind me on your age? You're not in trouble or anything. I want to prove something. And, or you can do me this favor. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. We had somebody come in that was younger than me, calling me grandpa. And I'm okay. Okay. So Fortnite I knew was younger. Fortnite God has never come into my lives and been rude. Not once. I've never had to use the never had to do anything to restrict them from coming in. I've never had to lay down the law. He gets it, and he's good. And I love that he's able to come in, or her, But I'm assuming you're a guy. Um, I've never had to put him in timeout or anything. He comes in, he's respectful. That's what I ask. And I expect that from the adults too. I don't think I'm asking for anything out of the ordinary. But I've had Carol in. I know you're never rude, and I appreciate that. So does everybody else in live. If I had an issue though, you can ask me, and depending upon the question, I have the right to decide if I answer it. You can ask. I am in my 50s. I am 51. I'm not going to give my exact age. This is something that YouTube just gave us the ability to do. And if it gets really bad, then I could report. But no. I will say Fortnite God has been incredible. And there's a handful of them who are incredible. And I will always welcome them into my videos, commenting, or whatnot. As long as I know that they're being respectful and their parents know that they are in live. Another reason why I have a duty to keep my lives clean. Young Eli, I haven't had an issue from you tonight either. All I ask is if I do ask you a question, answer it. Be honest. No, I'm not. I'm not. Young Eli 6, you're good. I believe so, yeah. I know I can. But because I do have younger people in my lives, I have a duty to protect them as well. So hopefully Fortnite God, you feel safe in here. That's my goal. And that's my goal for anybody that comes into the lives. Well, that depends. That depends. If you are being rude, I'm proud. If somebody is being rude, okay? If somebody's being rude, first off, you might get a warning. I might say, hey, Fortnite God or whoever, Carol, Eric, whoever, stop. If you don't stop, then you might get a timeout. You might get a 10-second timeout. If that 10 seconds ends and you come back in and you're polite, not a problem. Not a problem. I don't care. It's after that, if I have to put you into a 10-minute timeout, you're probably going to get reported. And the worst about it is, if you're being rude to somebody in chat, I can't stop them from reporting you or blocking you. But ultimately, I can even do a 24-hour timeout, I believe. And I've never had an issue with anybody that's in here. I'm just putting that out there. I've never had to say to anybody in here, behave. You guys have been great. But I can do different things. For instance, when I put you into timeout, yeah, no, just selected people. I can send, you cannot send messages during that time. I can hide you from my channel. So you have the ability to participate in chat, but nobody will see your chatting. And if I do that, know that YouTube will not tell you that you've been hidden. Yeah, if you're in a timeout, you can't send messages during that time. I have the option I'm trying to see. I don't want to I'm not calling anybody out. So I just want to say that, okay? I can go 10 minutes. I can go 10 seconds, a minute, 5 minutes. So let's say warning 1, okay? 10 seconds. Warning 2 is a minute. I usually don't do the minute. But I would go 10 minutes. If that doesn't clear it up, you might get a 30-minute timeout. And then if that doesn't cure it and you're still being, or that person is still being mean, let's say Fortnite, God, let's say somebody is being rude to you in my channel, okay? I tell them to stop. They're not stopping. They would then get a 10-second timeout. If that doesn't stop it, then the next thing is a 10-minute timeout. And then at that point, if they come back in and they're still being rude, then I would report them for bullying, and they would get a 24-hour timeout. I'm not gonna, hopefully it doesn't come to me hiding them from my channel, but that's what would happen. I would stick up for people that come into my lives. But I had somebody ask me, and I can also choose I can also choose, is anybody else in live? Eric, Carol, anybody else? Or is it just me and Fortnite God? Because otherwise, I'm going to have to go. I'm sorry, predecessor. Okay. I don't want to be in the room with with somebody younger. There may be times when I say a live may only be open to subscribers, and that probably won't be till later. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Fortnite God. I hope I haven't made you feel. YouTube predecessor, Fortnite God, I hope I haven't offended you. If I have, I'm sorry. I can also find out if you have been bad. Okay, so I need to go, guys, because I need to eat again. I will talk to you later. Live tomorrow at 6 p.m. on the other channel. So good night, everybody. Bye-bye.